Did you know that it's possible for your real estate to be stolen? Well, apparently organized crime does, and according to the Globe and Mail, this particular type of theft is on the rise. So in today's video, I'm not only going to explain to you what has gone on recently, but also how often this type of thing is happening. And I'm going to share with you a 100% effective way to make sure that you're not a victim of title fraud. And all I ask in return is that you subscribe to this channel to help me grow this community to over 10,000 Canadian real estate enthusiasts. And last, before I begin, please go ahead and steal your very own click of the like button to help me bring more awareness to this issue. So thank you for that. And now let's make sure nobody steals your home. Starting off with the CBC News story that says this title fraud has now happened to at least 30 homes in the GTA.
That's not your market.
It's a national story, man. Now, what they're saying is the most common way that this scam happens is that a home is rented out to new tenants. And in the case highlighted on CBC, these two folks, obviously with fake names and IDs. Then after the happy new couple moves in, a third accomplice, usually fitting maybe even the description of the actual homeowner themselves, well, they pose as the homeowner and they call in unsuspecting real estate agents to help get the home sold. And well, if all the IDs are faked, and in at least one of these cases, the real homeowners are out of country for an extended period of time, well, the listing agent themselves, the buyer's agent, and the buyer, and, well, the original owner are all unaware that anything is out of place at all. Then the imposter homeowner just sells the house because, well, nobody realizes that they aren't in fact the real seller. But then there's even more. When the sale completes, the money is actually transferred into also fraudulent bank accounts. I would assume set up with the same fake IDs. And then once the money transfers on completion, it's immediately withdrawn from the bank account, flipped into cryptocurrency, and disappears, right along with the imposter owners. Now, there is some speculation for this to happen that maybe one of the lawyers or maybe somebody at Land Titles would also have to be on the take. But personally, I think that's probably much more unlikely if the IDs and the imposter sellers are good enough at pretending to be somebody else. Now, I'll let you go ahead and watch or read the news stories for yourself to learn even more particular details and what happened to the original owners and buyers. But what I want to cover in this video is how often this is actually happening, and then second, what you can do to make sure this doesn't happen to you. First, the story made it sound like this has happened to 30 different properties. However, diving into the details, something similar about a house being sold that I just described to you has only happened in 4 of those cases. And the other 26 or more currently under investigation had something completely different happen. And yes, that is a type of title fraud, but in those cases, those properties had real mortgages placed on them by someone who was not the owner. So basically, the fraudster took out a new mortgage on someone else's property and pocketed that refinance money, and then likely just stuck the bank with funding a mortgage to the wrong person. Now, that for sure is probably an easier thing to do, and in all reality is probably a bigger problem. But it does not involve someone losing their property. But of course, the news makes it sound like this type of property theft is happening all over and that it might actually happen to you. And while in reality, it only appears that they've been able to identify 4 properties in all of Ontario right now in this situation. And considering there were 75,140 sales last year in the Toronto Real Estate Board area, that means your chances of this happening to you could be as low as 0.0053%. So of course, the news has taken something that is super unlikely to happen to you, and then they tell you all about it, so you have even more to worry about.
As if you didn't have enough already.
But there is a way to prevent this. First, you have to know that if your property is what we call free and clear or clear title, meaning that there are no financial charges against your property, it makes mortgage fraud and title fraud a whole lot easier. Because if you already have a mortgage or other financial charge on your property, there are extra checks and balances in order to both sell or refinance. For example, your old mortgage would need cleared off of the title before the new mortgage can fund. And that in most cases should trigger your bank to, contact you prior to the closing. And even if you have paid your mortgage off, usually the bank won't just clear the charge off of the title because, that costs money, meaning that you too probably won't clear that charge off of the title because, you don't need to, and the balance is zero. But the method of having a financial charge on title is not foolproof. But there is one thing that can guarantee your home will never be sold out from under you. And it works like this. You see, at the land title office, at least here in BC for sure, there are actually 2 titles for every property. You, as the property owner, have the right to go in and retrieve one of those copies. In the industry, we call this the duplicate indefeasible title certificate. You see, to transfer a title to a new owner, the duplicate title must not be outstanding. So by pulling the duplicate title, you will make 100% sure that your property cannot be transferred. But this also comes with a lot of risk because if you don't have that exact piece of paper, when you yourself go to sell, you simply won't be able to. And if that original certificate gets lost, it can take many months and lots of money to rectify that missing duplicate title with the land title office. That's why anyone that does do this should probably put that duplicate title in something like a safety deposit box. Let me give you a real life example of how pulling a duplicate title could possibly go wrong. Once, many years ago, in a subdivision far away, I listed a home, and as it turns out, when I pulled the title information, which is what we do as agents before listing a home, it showed that yes, the duplicate title was outstanding. Well, it turns out way back in 1989, these homeowners gave a copy of the duplicate title as collateral for a line of credit against the property. Now, I went to sell that property in 2012, and the homeowners had totally forgotten that this is what they did more than 20 years prior. So after a lot of head scratching, they remembered that, they actually gave a copy to the bank. So they had to go to the bank and try and retrieve it. And they ended up doing just that. And I don't know if it was just dumb luck, but it turns out that the bank manager for that branch just so happened to still be working there at that location all those years later. And after a bunch of digging, they were able to go back and find the original duplicate title. And then he actually made some sort of comment, and I am not quoting, that the homeowners were really lucky that he was still there because he was set to retire very, very soon. And he was not sure that anybody else in the bank would have been able to find that certificate after he was gone. So make sure if you ever do pull the duplicate title from the land title office, that you protect that piece of paper as if it is your most valuable asset, because it probably is. And yes, ideally, when you purchase a property, making sure you have proper title insurance is probably a very good idea too. Speaking of buying a property, you can download my Informed Buyer's Guide right now by using the link in the description below. Please subscribe, click the like button, and we'll see you in a couple of days.